Jeff and I are staying at an Airbnb, and it's Saturday morning, and we've gotten up, and we haven't had breakfast yet, and we're about to go to breakfast, but hang on. Jeff is not allowed to go to breakfast, and I guess by extension me, so you better get this right. Go ahead and open that up, Jeff.
What is that?
What is that?
It says Newbeedrone on it.
It does.
Oh.
So this is the Newbeedrone Ready to Fly kit, and the promise is literally you should just be able to like take it out, open it, and just fly it with no hassle. So as soon as you fly one pack on that, we will go to breakfast.
All right, that works for me. That's what I remember seeing about it. Was everything stored in the goggles? That's a good idea. Oh wow.
Oh, there's a transmitter, because I was like, oh, let's see if we fly this on this trip, and I was like, oh, I got to set it up. You know, I got to combine my transmitter and set up my modes, and I was like, no, I don't have to do any of that. We should be able to just pull this straight out of the box and go.
Wow.
So that's what we're putting to the test right here.
That's pretty cool.
We got the transmitter. Presumably there would be instructions about how to arm it, but this is Jeff's first time.
Yep.
So I bet he can figure it out. You got video?
Let's see. I do.
Okay.
Right off the bat.
Came shipped on the right channel. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
And yay! We can go to breakfast! Nothing quite as fun as whooping around an Airbnb, is there?
Nope. Oh.
Ah! You lost. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Did I break it?
You lost a prop.
A prop.
You ain't getting back up again, sir. That's okay. Now we can get some coffee. Thank you,
cool.
Jeff.
Yep.
What is the best kit to get somebody into FPV? That is probably one of the hardest questions I answer on a day-to-day basis. There are almost no kits that have everything you would need to get flying at a price that a beginner can tolerate. And that's a real problem. Like, if you look at the TBS Oblivion kit, the TBS Oblivion kit, if my memory's correct, it goes for something like $600, has a pretty decent quadcopter, a TBS Tango transmitter, a Crossfire freaking module. It's solid gear. But try to get a beginner to shell out $600. We forget. A lot of us forget. I remember not even being sure I would like RC. There's no way I was going to spend hundreds of dollars on a transmitter when I might not even like it. And how many hours did we spend getting good at flying, crashing? How many people get frustrated and just quit? Those people shouldn't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a decent piece of kit that can give them the experience of flying FPV without having to fuss with Betaflight, without having to bind and set up modes, and can I just freaking take the thing out of the box, plug it in, and fly it. And that is what we're looking at today. This is the Newbeedrone Ready to Fly kit, and it aims to be a really good starter kit for people getting into FPV. Let's take a closer look. It really is just that simple. You just take the pieces out, and you plug them in, and you go fly. And that is really all you should need to ask for from a Ready to Fly kit. And yet somehow it's not that simple. As anybody who has bought an Ishin Wizard Ready to Fly kit can attest. But more than just being easy to get into Ready to Fly kit, this is a pretty cool freaking... I first saw this at CES. They showed me a prototype, and I was just blown away with the cleverness of the design. So the screen lifts off, and inside, it comes with 4 batteries. I have inserted some extra batteries, so it comes with 4 batteries if you buy one. Inside is the quad, Newbeedrone Acrobee, the holder for the batteries with some foam, and a charger for the batteries. Now this lifts out, and just sits to the side. You set that wherever, and you can do your flying, and then you've got your screen here. Ooh, peel. I haven't peeled it yet. Some people leave this stuff on. to protect the screen, but it just looks like garbage. Let's do the peel. Whee! Oh yeah, there's the peel. Now I love this aspect of the screen. It can be used as goggles, and it does come with a little face thing here where with magnets it snaps on, and you stick it on your face, use it as goggles. But here's a great thing. When you outgrow this, if you outgrow this and you get better goggles, this still is perfectly usable as a spectator monitor. Fantastic. Or just on your bench. I have one of these sitting on my bench, so when I'm working on a quad, I don't have to put goggles on my face just to get the dang thing to check the video transmitter and stuff. The screen does have an internal battery, charges again via USB. They all do. It's got an on-off switch here. There, the screen's coming on, and we've got channel and frequency and menu. Let's see what we got on the menu. Brightness. Oh, this looks very, very similar to the menus in the Eachine EV200D. It makes me wonder if, like, somewhere inside it's the same thing. I don't know about that. Frequency, A1, B, E, Fat Shark. Yeah, we're changing our bands, and we're changing our channels. Fantastic. Let's just plug this guy in real quick. Yeah, there's the scan function. So I just hold down the channel, and it does a scan. And here we are on race band 1. Got some flicker here. What's going on? As you can probably tell from the fact that I'm wearing a different shirt than when you last saw me, it's tomorrow. So I was having some kind of a problem with this guy. The video was going black, and I thought maybe the screen was messed up. But no, it turns out the camera on this guy was messed up. Fortunately, I happen to have a spare. I swapped it out, and all is well. I guess it's the reviewer's curse. I feel kind of obligated to tell you guys that I got a messed up one and not sort of gloss over that, but at the same time, Newbeedrone has a pretty good track record of both quality and customer service, so that's not really an issue for me. Let's take a look at some footage of me flying this on the screen so you can see what it's supposed to look like and a little bit like how this guy flies. And then we'll come back and I'll start breaking down like the pros and cons of this compared to what I think is its major competition. Is it possible to pinch this? We failed safe, didn't we? The way that flight ended is a great segue into a discussion of some of the deficits of this product. Because on its surface, this is great. $200 for a complete ready-to-fly kit that you just unpackage and you go. But it has some problems, and I'm not convinced 100% that it is actually the best one for you to buy. So the first problem is that the freaking props just fly off. And when it first happened, I thought, oh, I guess maybe they just weren't on tight. So I pushed them all on tight, and they just keep flying off no matter how tight I push them on. This comes with these 2-blade props, which are actually great for beginners. Normally, the motors would have 3-blade props. They'd make a little bit more thrust, but 2-blade props are going to make a little less thrust, and that's great for beginners who are just learning to fly. But it's not something that normally happens on Newbeedrone motors and props, but on these particular ones, they just fly off in the middle of flight for no freaking reason. It's pretty freaking annoying. One of the goals of this system for Newbeedrone was to make the system as compact as possible so that it fits into this nice compact case. You could stuff it in a backpack, you could take it somewhere. Portability is a big plus of these micro quads, these tiny whoop style quads. And the transmitter is quite small. It actually fits right down inside this case very easily. But as you can see from how it fits in my hand, it's a bit, especially if you like to pinch, it works. You can do it. And in fact, the gimbals are not too bad, to be honest. They have just a little bit of slop or wiggle right there in the center, but overall, they're not too bad, especially for something this inexpensive. But I just find the ergonomics are it's not as great as I would want it. Especially if I'm thumbing, I found it hard to get super precise control. And another thing that really bugs me is that the arm disarm switch is this one here. I really feel like the arm disarm switch needs to be very easy to actuate so you can disarm in a hurry, but I guess this little guy isn't exactly going to be like chewing a baby's face off or anything, and you're like, disarm! So I like to disarm the minute I crash, and it's just a little slow to do that. I guess that's forgivable. The build quality as a whole feels pretty solid, and it is nice that this guy has simulator mode built in. You can plug this right in and use it to play a simulator. It'll appear on your computer as a game controller. That's pretty nice. It allows you to practice muscle memory and just have, you could pay $35 for a game controller. This one, it just has it for free. I have really mixed feelings about the goggles. So start with the good. The goggles are very comfortable. They're not like the most comfortable I've ever worn, but they're okay. And they're fairly large. The screen is quite large, and a nice lens on the inside makes it look even larger. I couldn't easily fit my glasses inside them, but because of the lens, if I just put my face in there, I was sort of close enough to the screen that I didn't really need my glasses. And I have a really strong prescription. So if you have any sort of nearsighted prescription, you're probably going to be okay just putting this on your face. I love that it pops out and makes a spectator screen. That's fantastic. I don't like that it only has one antenna. It doesn't do diversity. Diversity is especially helpful for these micro quads, especially when you're flying indoors in challenging environments. That's really unfortunate. My biggest complaint about these is just how they just feel kind of cheap. They don't feel super solid. What do you want from them? See, look, it's like, I don't know. Is that going to affect the functionality? Are they going to break? Maybe not, but I kind of wish they felt a little more solid. As far as the Acrobee itself, the biggest limitation a beginner is going to experience with this guy is the range. And mostly I mean the receiver range. I don't know what it is about these Acrobee flight controllers. They have a built-in antenna, and they have like a soldered-on wire antenna. And just no matter what I've ever done, I've always had really poor range from them. In fact, I run out of signal strength before I run out of video range. I just fail-safe. This one is no different, and I think as a beginner, I would be like, I'm annoyed as a expert, but I kind of live with it and go, okay, I can only fly that far. I guess that's what I'm going to do. But as a beginner, where you don't already have a sense of how much range you should have, I think it might be a little more annoying, because you're just going to want to go fly somewhere, and then you're going to fail safe. You're going to be like, what happened to me? It is worth pointing out that the quadcopter does have RSSI in the on-screen display, so you do have the ability to see in the goggles as your RSSI is getting weak. I just feel like the range of this thing is, I could barely get out to my freaking driveway on that thing. It's not great. Okay, to be fair, there is a cinder block wall between me and the driveway, so we got to give it that, but I still wish the range was higher. In my opinion, this is the biggest competitor to the Newbeedrone Ready to Fly kit. This is the Emax TinyHawk, and it also comes in a Ready to Fly kit with battery, charger, transmitter, goggles, everything you need to get started in one simple kit. The difference between them, well, you can see that the TinyHawk is bigger and it's a little bit heavier, but its motors are more powerful, so the flight performance is actually, I want to say the flight performance is better. There are people out there who just really love the way that these little micros fly and say that nothing else is the same. But I think for a ranked beginner who has never flown anything before, this is probably going to give a better experience. And the big reason for that is that the Newbeedrone has brushless motors, and these are going to be way more durable than the brushed motors here on the TinyHawk. Another thing that this has is a thing called turtle mode, which means it can flip over after you crash and are upside down. That is not something that the Newbeedrone can do because of the brushless motors that it uses, although there's no technical reason why brushed motors can't reverse, just that they don't seem to do that. So I've actually got a full review of the TinyHawk up on my channel, the TinyHawk RTF kit. You can go check that out. The short version, though, is I think that the TinyHawk is probably going to be a more satisfying flight experience for many people. I think that the TinyHawk transmitter is more ergonomic than this little guy here, just the way it fits in the hands. I think that the TinyHawk Ready to Fly goggles are sort of more solid. They're smaller and a little less comfortable to wear, but they do have diversity. So I think on the whole they win as well. And at least as of today, I looked this up. The TinyHawk RTF kit used to be $200. It's now on sale for $165. I don't know why they marked it down so cheap. The Newbeedrone kit is $199. And that's a pretty big difference. So as much as I hate to end this review of the Newbeedrone kit by saying I think there's probably something else you might want to buy, for many of you, I think that's going to be the case. Link to the TinyHawk Ready to Fly kit down in the video description, of course. So let's flip the script. Who would like to buy the Newbeedrone kit instead of the TinyHawk kit? What's the Newbeedrone got going for it? The compact size of the Acrobee definitely gives a certain style of flight that's difficult to duplicate with a larger quad. The compact size of the kit means it's going to be just that little bit easier to carry around. The fact that it uses the standard Tiny Whoop batteries, the social aspect of Tiny Whooping, and I know this is not technically a Tiny Whoop, it's an Acrobee, but everybody calls it a Tiny Whoop, so just let that go. The social aspect of Tiny Whooping is a big, big part of it. And when you go to a Tiny Whoop party and there's like 5 of your friends there with Tiny Whoops, they're all going to have this kind of battery. And you got to mark your batteries if you don't want to lose them, because they're all just going on the charger. Everybody's grabbing batteries. And the ability to have those compatible batteries and just fly the same packs that all your friends are flying, that certainly does play into it. I would recommend that if you're thinking about these, definitely watch my review of the TinyHawk RTF. And I've got another shootout where I compare the TinyHawk to the Acrobee and sort of break them all down. I'll put links to all of that stuff in the video description so you can have a better, because at the end of the day, the quad is in a big sense what's going to make the difference more than anything else. So you can check that out and see how the quads fly and see which one you think you like the best. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. There are links to all these products down in the video description, links to those videos. Let me know what you think. If you think the Newbeedrone kit is worth $199 compared to $165 for the TinyHawk, why? Tell me why. And tell everybody else too, because I like this. I really do. They come in different colors. You can order them in different colors. They're customizable. I really do like this guy. Just if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick this guy. So if you feel differently, let me know in the comments. And if you like this guy better, well, let's not pile on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy flying.